Hey, what is up guys? So we are going to be having a discussion video on the newer Monarch archetype, the Mega Monarchs if you will, as well as talking about the support that has been coming out for Monarchs, because I think that it seems like Konami kind of wants to push Monarchs. I mean, we have these guys coming out as secret rares. Usually when cards are secret rares, they tend to want to make the deck a little bit better. Who knows, maybe in the future Monarchs will be really good once they release something really broken, like a spellbook of the, Monarchs or something like that. But anyways, I've been doing a lot of testing. A lot of you guys have been asking me to show off the new Monarchs, and I've been trying to get some good duels for you guys, but honestly the duels are very slow, and a lot of times I'm getting outsped by other decks, and like all I do is I tribute for one monster, and Solemn Warning goes through, or a Compulse happens, and then I'm left with a blank field, and then I'm unable to tribute, because I can't really use the Mega Monarchs. Currently I'm only just playing one. This is not like a build of Monarchs that I would recommend you guys to play at all. This card is actually not good at 3, but it's just been something I've been messing around with. So if you guys are looking to build Monarchs, don't copy this build. It's not going to be like the best build. I mean, by all means, it's like an okay funsy deck, but it's definitely not the best build of Monarchs. I'll get a deck profile for you guys once we get the deck at a more consistent rate. But I've been trying a lot of the Monarchs and just seeing what kind of works. This card is really good sometimes when you can sack someone if you know that they duality into something really good. Some guy duality and he added a BLS to his hand, and the next turn I Thestalos and I hit the BLS and he quit. But it's kind of funny. But the thing is, this card's just really sacky, and the thing is, Monarchs used to be pretty decent. They used to be a deck where you could really roll out like a slower paced game, and if the game went on for a long time and the Monarch player was able to consistently tribute, they would always be at some type of advantage. The most popular Monarchs are Ryza and Caius, although I'm messing around with newer stuff, technically older stuff, because originally I was going to put in the Fire Mega Monarch, but it's not out yet on DevPro, and it's really mediocre. It makes him take 1,000 burn damage in addition to it. I think the only one that I really like right now is the Water Mega Monarch, which basically has the effect that you can destroy 3 spell and trap cards on the field, and then if you tribute a water monster, you get to add this additional effect where your opponent can't activate any of the targeted cards in response to this card's activation. Now, unfortunately, you can still negate the summon, therefore, it negates summon, never hits the field, therefore cannot activate the effect. So that's one problem that already exists with Monarchs. I mean, Solemn Warning technically is at 1, but like that one Solemn Warning can make the difference between winning and losing a game, or any type of negation card can make it so you just simply lose the game. But the thing is, there's also this Mega Monarch, which is the Earth one, and this has the additional effect if you can draw 1 card. The problem with the newer Monarch archetype that they're trying to push is, well, obviously you can't run Treeborn Frog, because I feel like this card is really good, the ability to recycle your Monarchs. The trap card is okay to an extent over here. This card also I wouldn't recommend playing at all, because it makes it so you can't use your makes it so you don't have any cards in your extra deck. So the only problem with this is it basically almost does the same thing as this, but the thing is, the one thing I really wish Charging Emperor had is that the Monarch couldn't be destroyed by battle. One problem with the newer Monarch archetype is this is how the deck was designed. It was designed for you to be able to, as long as you get 1 tribute summon off, you were able to add another Monarch. Therefore, you would just activate something like this, or you would somehow protect the Monarch, whether it would be through like your own back row, or simply just, your opponent not having a monster that was over 2,400 attack. The problem is there's so many generic rank 3s, rank 4s, and there's so many monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, they can just attack over a Monarch. And then at that point, what do you do? I mean, you can go for something maybe like Cyber Dragon, tribute for Monarch, and you can play maybe more of a Chaos variant. You can maybe throw in Chaos Sorcerers and stuff like that. But the problem is that you don't have like that Treeborn Frog, that like free tribute fodder, so you have to use multiple cards to get out your 1 Monarch, and all this is really doing is replenishing that 1 card to add a Monarch that really can't do anything to help you out currently what's on the field. Like, there's nothing that you can add to your hand, like a trap, well, obviously, because you're adding a monster, unless they make a hand trap that suddenly has, 2,400 attack or something like that. But the thing is, you're not able to actually protect your Monarch, really, other than your own back row, which is why I was originally playing a bunch of other stuff. What's really cool is there's this card called 2-Pronged Attack. I was looking for a card where it was like destroy 1 of your monsters and destroy 1 of your opponent's monsters. I thought there was a card like that in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you know of that card, hey, let me know, because I was thinking that the card could combo very well with Charging Emperor, because it says tributed summon monsters you control cannot be targeted by or destroyed by card effects, and then you can't special summon monsters from your extra deck as the downside to this card. So I was like, it's fine, I'll tribute for Caius, hit something, and then if they get out a monster that would run over me, I would just activate this, and then the monster could not be destroyed by card effects. So I was hoping that that would be pretty cool. I'm not sure if two-pronged attack actually has to destroy your monster to actually resolve its effect, because it says and one. It doesn't say destroy two of your monsters and then, it just says and. So if you guys know the ruling on that, hey, let me know as well. But I thought there was one card where it's like destroy one of your own. What works really well is Torrential Tribute. That works. But I feel like the problem with the Monarchs, like I said, is once you you get your Tribute summon off, and then you add the other Monarch. But if the other Monarch dies, what you have is an option to special summon next turn, other than maybe like a Battle Fader, or if you want to play something like Cyber Dragon, or something like Photon Thrasher, that could be an option as well. But that's just the problem that I see with Monarchs, is like, as long as, if you can keep your monster alive, then yeah, of course, like, you're going to be at an advantage anyways. But if your opponent doesn't have anything to throw up, like, obviously you're in a better position anyways. But majority of the time, especially how fast decks have gotten, if your Monarch gets, let's say they have a monster that has over 2500 attack. What if they effect Valor you? Well, if you have this card, then you don't have to worry about that. But let's say they effect Valor you. You can't run over the monster, because you plan to banish the monster with Kaias. You no longer can want to run over the monster, therefore you just have to end your turn. Like, there's no other play in Monarchs. Like, there's literally, like, you go for your play, and if it doesn't go through, you lose. One thing that I really do like in the deck, I almost even decided to try out Waboku in the deck, because every single time I made any Monarch play, next turn it always got ran over. Then in my hand, I would have the additional Monarch that I would have, maybe another Monarch, and then nothing else. That's why I also put Great Creeper Spy in here, because I'm like, well, if I set Spy first turn, it's good. That's also why Thunder King is in here, because like first turn Thunder King is still, the first turn Thunder King, it's still pretty good. It protects itself pretty well, I would say. But like I said, the problem with the deck is really that once your Monarch, once you summon your Monarch and like it gets run over, if you don't have anything to like get out your other Monarch, you kind of lose. I know that there's this card called the First Monarch, which allows you to go, it makes you go very minus. Let's get rid of these cards. We don't really need to talk about these cards anyways, but I mean, I do suggest you guys to actually play traps, but let's just talk about this card First Monarch, because this is basically how they wanted the deck to run. So they wanted you to basically have this card, set, and then you would discard one card. It doesn't matter what you discard, we'll just take Fader for example. So you would have to activate this card, discard Battle Fader, and have a Monarch in your hand. Well, let's make it better, because then if you use the Mega Monarch, then you kind of go plus. Okay, so this is 3 cards right here. Let's say that you activate First Monarch, you activate its effect by discarding a card, then you can make it a water, so it counts as 2 tribute summons, and then it's also a water monster. Therefore, you'd be able to pop 3 cards, potentially, as long as this goes through. Remember, if this gets Solemn Warning, you use 3 cards, and they only used 1. At that point, you're at a significant disadvantage. So the thing is, you're using 3 cards to pop 3 cards and have a 2800 beater on board. So what it comes down to is you're using 3 cards to have a 2800 beater on board, which is not bad, don't get me wrong. It's just, if this card gets stopped, whether it gets effect failed or anything like that, what do you do? Because I know you can't activate the targeted cards in response, but you can still effect valor it. You can still do, other things to the card. So like, if this card's effect gets negated, you've essentially used way too many cards and it's just a 2800 beater, which, is still a decent amount of attack. But the problem is, well, if you activate this, then they can't valor you, which is again why, this card's kind of good. But the problem is with all this support, which is continuous, you can't use like Swap Frog, which makes me really sad, because I was thinking like this card would work pretty awesome with Frog. So I was thinking maybe I'll just go ahead and play a Frog deck that just uses this. But then again, there are a lot of meta decks right now that don't run any back row and very little back row anyways, so therefore you might just have a bad matchup if you're playing triple Mobius. And even if you play the other Mega Monarch, I'll show you the other one. There's a fire one, but that one's technically not out yet. Anyways, there's this card which you get to draw a card. So again, even if you use these, if you're using 3 cards, you're potentially getting the ability to what? Draw 1 card. How is that an advantage in the game? You know what I mean? Like, Yu-Gi-Oh has always been a game where card advantage, it tries to be a thing that is relevant, but the problem is there's so many decks, for example, like Lightsworn, that don't care about card advantage. As long as they have that one Judgment Dragon and you don't have an answer for it, they will pop everything that you have. But what I do like about this deck, though, like, I know I'm talking, like this deck is awful and, we need more support for it, basically. But the thing is, the deck, it's a slower deck, and, it's not bad against other slower decks. But if you get matched up against something like Fire Fist, you're just going to have a bad time. You're going to get Tiger King, and then they're going to run over your stuff, and then, you might try to go for your play, and again, if an effect veiler happens, like, the problem is once their monster has more attack than your Monarch, if your Monarch's effect doesn't go through, like what do you have as an option? You basically sit there, you end your turn, they attack over your Monarch, and then you have to use 2 more cards. So the whole idea on this Monarch archetype using the oh, this card's awful, by the way. Let me show you guys this card. Let me talk about this card. Is the Monarch's Awaken or Will of the Monarchs, whatever its name is for the TCG. But anyways, if you have no cards in your extra deck, you can just put you're gonna target one face-up tribute summoned monster you control. Its effects are negated, but also it is unaffected by the effects of cards other than this card. So at that point, that's almost like this, but a slower version of it, and you can't even use an extra deck, although this makes it so you can't use your extra deck anyways. So they try to make it, like, I guess, fair by making it so you can't run an extra deck, well, or you can't special summon. This card makes it so you can't even run an extra deck, but these ones over here make it so... wait, hold on, wait, no, not this one. This one over here, the Charging Emperor, or March of the Monarchs, makes it so you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck. This one really doesn't have any restrictions. Wait, hold on, never mind. First line of the cards. You cannot special summon monsters from your extra deck. So that's their quote-unquote downside, or the penalty for a card being so good. Originally when this card came out, I think a lot of players were excited, and they're like, oh, this is going to be really good, but nothing really took off with Monarchs. I think that something is going to be coming out relatively soon, guys. I feel like, you know, like I said, because it's a secret rare, well, all of them probably will be secret rare. It feels like they're trying to push it, but I feel like there might be some potential with Monarchs not using this build, not using the build of, you know, the continuous, I think, a Swap Frog, because this card is still pretty good. I mean, you know, being able to pop 3 back row is still pretty good. And there's still this card over here, Glacia, which is a fantastic card. Which is a delinquent duo. So, I mean, could you guys imagine if your opponent, you know, sets a bunch of stuff, because this would work very well with each other if you can, you know, get the right amount of frogs in the grave. You'd be able to potentially hit 3 spell cards, you know, spell or trap cards, and then if you drop one of these after that, that's getting rid of 5 cards, and then you have 2 2800 beaters on board. That seems like a potentially really good play. So who knows, maybe in the future they'll release more support. I feel like someone will probably end up making some variant of water, because I feel like out of all of them, this one has more potential, but like I said, there are a lot of decks that just don't have back row, and that could just be like a bad matchup. But maybe you could just drop a Glacia on them, and you'd be good with that. But do you guys have any suggestions of how to actually build Monarchs and make them better using the newer support? Because I've seen Frog Monarchs, and that's probably the better build anyways, but I really like this build using the Spies, because it works pretty well, because it allows you to go for Arcanite Magician and Black Rose. But the thing is, it's still not nearly as good as, you know, Monarchs were years and years ago when the game was at a much slower pace. So if you're interested in playing Monarchs right now, I would suggest you guys just to wait until something really good comes out, because at the moment there's really nothing good. And I mean, I've been literally trying all the Monarchs except for, oh, let me mention this play that I wasn't sure about. There was this card I was thinking about running over here, Kraz Light Monarch. So when this card is normal or special summon, you can target up to 2 cards on the field and you destroy those targets. There's actually a loop with this card. It's a very, very long loop which you destroy some equip, and like it's a very long extensive combo. But anyways, you can destroy up to 2 cards on the field and you destroy those targets. And if you do, each player can draw 1 card for each of the cards they control that was destroyed. So I was thinking about like destroying my own Fiendish Chains and then being able to draw cards, and then perhaps using something like Will of the Monarch or the Monarch's Awaken, and then making it so I'm not sure if it's one of those where it's like it already activates its effect, therefore you still can't declare an attack, because if you activate Belas's effect then it gets effect Baylor, you still can't activate its effect. Well, you can't even attack still, because I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is weird like that, but anyways, I was thinking if that works like that, that'd be kind of cool to use Fiendish Chain, maybe like even pop your own cards. That could potentially be a thing, but this card works when it's special summon too, so like maybe Call of the Haunted, you can pop, you know, I think Dead Fiendish Chains are probably like good, maybe even the Seal of Ori, well, hold on, does that actually have to be destroyed? That's the question. That was destroyed, so I don't think it would be considered destroyed. Because I was thinking about Seal of Orichalcos. Heck, that would be a really cool card in the deck, actually. That would actually be a really good card in this deck, because, yeah, that'd be a really good card. We should add that card in the deck. If you're playing this variant of Monarchs, guys, definitely add the Seal of Orichalcos, because, you know, the downside that you can't special summon monsters from your extra deck. I mean, they're pretty much telling you can't special summon from the extra deck anyways. The only problem with Seal is you can only have one in your deck. I mean, you can run multiples, but you can only activate one, so maybe if you want to play like Phoenix Wing, Wind Blast, anything that's like lets you discard cards so you can discard the dead ones, that would be an option. But I feel like this actually might help the deck a little bit, but it's still going to have the same problem. Like if you don't draw a seal, that 2400 monster is just going to get destroyed by an XYZ or anything else, and you're not going to be able to really utilize Charging Emperor, because this card is supposed to protect your Monarch, but the Monarchs just don't have the effect to keep themselves alive by having large attack or not being able to be destroyed by battle. But that's why I often play Triple Lance, and it works a lot better as long as you can draw them. But anyways, like I said, if you guys have any suggestions to actually improve, this isn't really like a deck, like I said. This is just things I was just testing out, because when I'm testing stuff, I like to test out everything and see what kind of works with the deck, and then from there I like to modify it, because I like to try the newer stuff. If you are playing the Mega Monarch, I don't suggest you to play very many, because drawing them is very bad, and you can already search them off of this. Oh, and a side note, you can also search our Dark Arm Dragon, which is really awesome. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Azneyes out.